Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here, and I think just having listened to the two sessions on gold, I don't need to say much at all, to be honest. It's all been said. Well, we've got to find which way to go here. Big one? Just while you're all reading that, today I'm going to just introduce the story by, I guess, asking why would you invest in anything at the moment? And then I guess lead into the catalyst story. And Kerry has made it quite clear she doesn't want lots of cross-sections and technical information. She just wants to know why you would invest in catalyst today. And I'm going to put up 3 or 4 slides which I think hopefully encapsulate what I'm talking about. This is the first one. I mean, why would you invest in anything when the world is going to end in 12 years here? I mean, this is the sort of thing, the stupidity that we're seeing even in our streets today, and I think people just don't grasp what's happening. I think if you look carefully at that photograph there, I think the only people who really understand what climate change is about are those 3 people who brought their umbrellas along. Now, the other thing you might say, well, let's go to England and invest there, but it's a big issue as well, as we're all reading every day. And these are things that they're just before our eyes at the moment, but I think they're just showing us that the investment climate is really quite interesting at this present moment. We don't also have to go to the other side, to the US, and we see the same thing. We see Trump fighting with the Chinese, and who knows what will happen there. But overall, it's uncertainty. And I guess this leads into what the 2 previous speakers have been talking about, that one of the great things to be in at the moment is gold. And you've seen lots of charts, and I'm not going to put too many up. This is in the Aussie dollar, and you can see that from 1975 to now, it's gone up by 60 times. And I think we in the gold industry, we don't necessarily look at the gold price. I guess we want to produce gold for $500 an ounce, and that means we've got to find high grade, and that's what Catalyst is doing in Victoria. If you talk about Victoria, I mean, it always was and still is one of the great gold provinces of the world. And it started back in 1850. You can see these 2 guys. The guy on the left could be mistaken for our manager of geology at Bendigo, Paul Quigley. And if you go to the booth after, you'll meet Paul. He's got a beard just like that. And he will be able to not pan gold for you, but show you how Catalyst finds gold by using modern scientific methods. So call into the booth, you'll get a lot more technical information there, and we can explain the Catalyst story to you. Just in simple terms, what we're doing in Catalyst is the yellow area on this map was where all the gold was produced in Victoria, and that was over 60 million ounces of it. If you go north of that wavy green line, you can see that it's totally covered by Murray Basin sediment. So this is virgin territory that was not explored until about 10 years ago. And Catalyst now has 2 discoveries, 2 greenfield discoveries undercover on this belt north of Bendigo. So we're not going down underneath the old mines and spending billions trying to build tunnels. We're just doing Western Australian exploration undercover underneath this Murray Basin along the big faults that we know are there. And we're finding high-grade gold. So what's our dream at Catalyst? We've already, I think, made great progress in the last 4 or 5 years. If we look at Bendigo, it was the biggest gold mine in the world for about 40 years. In today's terms, and probably this is even out of date a bit now, it produced about $44 billion worth of gold and probably in today's terms would have made about $20 billion in profit. So this is what Catalyst is looking for under the cover to the north. Just if we go more recently to the Kirkland Lake experience, Fosterville has made a great discovery, and it will probably make about $750 million cash flow this year, and yet the plant is still only at 50% capacity. So I think what it's showing is if you have good high-grade gold, and Victoria is the place to find it, these are the sort of profits you can make out of a mine. I think overall what the Catalyst has there is in one of the best untested gold provinces in the world. And that's our main objective at the bottom there. We want to make lots of gold discoveries in this area. Just a quick look at Bendigo. I think people don't really know how significant Bendigo was, but it produced 22 million ounces, and as I said, was the biggest gold producer in the world for about 40 years. You can see the size of the Kalgoorlie super pit next to it down there in the blue. It really was a major system. And we're seeing evidence of that up north where we're doing our drilling about 70 kilometres north. Just to briefly look at the Catalyst situation, we did have our tough times around about 2015, but then we signed the agreement with Hancock Prospecting, and I think that's about the last time we presented. You probably could have bought the shares then for 30 cents when we presented here about 4 years ago. They've since gone, and I think today trade at about $2.50. So it's been a success story with two major shareholders helping us along. Hancock now owns 11% of Catalyst, and St Barbara Mines holds about 14% of Catalyst. And they've been very supportive partners and shareholders to us. Just to show where the Catalyst tenements are, all of the pink are tenements controlled by Catalyst, and you can see that we control about 80 or 90 kilometres of that major strike north of Bendigo. We're almost certain from the geophysics that we know the big fault that controls the gold at Bendigo, and we're following along that trend, and as I said before, we have two discoveries along that trend. Similarly, you've got the Fosterville mine out to the east there. It also has a major fault running north, and Catalyst has a big position along that fault as you go further north. And we've recently done a lot of work there on the eastern side of that tenement. So that's really the one to watch for the future. Some of the, if you look in the area, we're just in freehold farming land, mostly wheat, sheep, a bit of canola, bit of barley and a few other things, but as we drill beneath this boring flat landscape, these are the sort of grades that we're hitting. The cover tends to be from about 20 metres to about 150 metres deep, quite variable, but when you get below it, you can see quite a lot of gold there. This is, I showed you the footprint of Bendigo. This is our footprint at Four Eagles, and I think Bendigo is about 10 kilometres long, north-south. This one's now shaping up and is already about 7 kilometres in the north-south direction and about 3 or 4 kilometres wide. You can see multiple zones of gold mineralisation, and once again, each of those lines of gold mineralisation has some very attractive high-grade gold on it. The best way to look at these is in longitudinal projection, and this is the Boyd's Dam one, which from left to right, looking towards the west, is about 2 kilometres long. We really have only tested the top 100 metres, and I guess we've got another sort of 1,000 metres below us, which can have stacked positions of this high-grade shoots. The one I'd really show you is that if you look to, and I think I can do this, You look to the south here, we had an intersection there down that plunge where we had nothing on surface, and this one was 11 metres at 37 grams per tonne. So this thing is still wide open to the south and very much open to both the north and at depth. So a lot more work to be done, but a lot more drilling, but we now have the cash to do that drilling. I think it's interesting to look at this Boyd's Dam complex compared to Fosterville. The Fosterville long section, these are at the same scale. Oh, can I go back here, Gary? Can you take me back one, please? I can probably do it, but I can't see it. No, back. That's it, thank you. If you look at the Boyd's Dam system at the top and the Fosterville long section at the bottom at the same scale, we're really back where Fosterville was here, mining these open pits. And so that's what we'll be doing, but you can see the way the chutes plunge down, and it's just a matter of time, we hope, before we can get down there and test and find. What we want to do is find one of these swan zones, which is 2 million ounces at sort of 50 grams. We want to find one of those in the top 300 metres at Boyd's Dam. Another area, another discovery is the Tandara gold deposit. This is a joint venture with Navarre Minerals, and you can visit their booth outside as well. Similarly, we have a lot of gold in the top 100 metres, but really very little testing down the plunge or at depth. So a lot more work to be done there. What's our concept at Catalyst? This is Boyd's Dam. You can see we've started to put shapes around the shallow mineralisation, but the big play here is really to get underground and to explore these things from underground. It's not that easy to do them from the surface, so the idea is to dig a couple of one or two open pits to get this underground access, and hopefully those one or two open pits will produce more than enough gold to pay for all the declining to get us down there, and then we'll be mining underground gold deposits. So that's the concept. So the final slide, why would you invest in Catalyst? Well, I think you've heard the gold story, and I don't pretend to be an expert on what the gold price will do. As I said, we mainly just look at how much money we can make at any particular gold price. Very tight capital structure, a very good market capitalisation and cash. I think we do try to keep costs very much down. We all work on a sort of as we do the work, we get paid. We don't have a lot of lifestyle people in the company, so everything we do is for our shareholders, pretty much. We control the whole belt. We have, I think, a strong scientific approach to the exploration, which we can talk about if you come to the booth. And I guess we have very strong support from those two major shareholders, St Barbara and Hancock Prospecting. And I think overall, the results we're seeing give us great confidence that we're going to find the next Bendigo up here, or maybe even a swan zone. Thank you.
Very much. Wonderful. Thank you, Bruce.